Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, I'm going to be doing a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers. Also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You're probably an empath and you're probably needing messages from your soul. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I was told was manipulations and lies. What to do? The intrigue. The intrigue. Let's go ahead and start pulling some cards. Pisces and empaths. Sometimes we come across people who don't understand exactly how intuitive we are. Sometimes we come across people who do understand how intuitive we are and think that they can somehow override that intuition. Let's see what's going to happen. Or is it about you? Are you the one doing this to yourself? Right? Are you the one? We'll see. Let me just one more big shuffle. It almost all fell. Okay. Do. Yes. Yes. I know. How are you guys doing this morning? Whew. 1, 2, 3. And then, okay. Ooh, we're going to bring some fairies up into this mix. Hold on. Not too many. All right. Here goes, guys. Here goes. Oh. Bring in some lively fairy energy. Oh. Okay. As usual, we're dealing with something, right? We consistently deal with something. We consistently deal with something is what it is. I feel like it's time for us to really choose to exit out of these situations that just cause so much BS in our lives, right? It could be work stuff, friend stuff, family stuff, romance stuff. I mean, one. The cards don't usually jump out like this. 2. It's a lot of energy today. 3, 4. Okay. We're good. There you go. All right. Here goes. Here goes. Ooh. Intention. There's a lot of intention that's like circulating through the world right now. A lot of that intention is probably malicious, probably exploitative of other people. None of that really matters. What's your intent? What are you trying to do? Where is your life taking you? And what are you going to allow? That's the real question. What are you going to allow? Are you going to allow yourself to get sucked into cycles, to get sucked into other people's issues that really are not your issues? We talked on the podcast, the Empty Cup Radar podcast, the other week about accountability, right? or was it this week? I don't know. We talked about accountability, and it's this thing of like, oh, I got a notification. The law of mirrors in narcissistic relationships. Oh, Lord. It never fails. When we talk about healing, we get the same question again and again. Oh. And then Kelly wrote, the advice you give others is the best advice for you. Who shoot? So that's totally holding us accountable for these cycles that we allow ourselves to get sucked into. Ooh. Fire, passion. Allowing yourself to get fiery within whatever it is you're passionate about. Ooh, what sets your heart and soul on fire? Como is like, there's certain things that people need to realize will never go away. There's certain things that people need to just kind of come to terms with in regards to the place that it holds within your thoughts, within your heart. And these are the things that are worth the effort, not the things that, really just continue to suck the growth out of you. So you're okay. She says, pay attention to my phone. It says, try this holiday season. Try this holiday season. Whatever it is that you're putting your mind to, try it this holiday season. See where it takes you. Okay. See where it takes you. The incubation period is done. Whatever cycles you were in, you have to begin accepting that these are the cycles that were preparing you for this period of your life. Okay. These were the cycles that were preparing you to kind of, take a chance on your happiness. However that's going to play out, however it plays out, it's just however it's going to play out. But you have to take a chance, because instead of living in fear of failure, living with this like regret type mindset where you don't even want to try, you would rather live with the guaranteed regret rather than try, rather than put some effort into cultivating whatever it is that you want in your life. I mean, if everything you've done to this point has continued to sustain this unhappiness within you. And it's not to say that your life is horrible. It's not to say that the people in your life are horrible. It's even not to say that the relationship, if you're in a relationship, is horrible. Como goes, don't say that. But this is a general reading. So not everyone is in a horrible relationship. You know what I mean? It's not to say that the things that are upsetting you are necessarily horrible, but the fact is, it's upsetting you. It's not enough. Whatever it is that you're living through, it has not been enough for you. Maybe you're just a very deep person. Maybe your depth got deeper. And once upon a time, there was alignment with the people in your life, with your work, with the direction your life was taking. And now you suddenly find that misalignment. It's just less and less tolerable. Less and less tolerable. Have you manipulated yourself into some type of compliance? Have you manipulated yourself into believing that you have to, do what makes others more comfortable? You have to this, you have to that, like, blah, blah, blah. Prosperity is only attained after you harvest what you work so hard for. Why grow all of these plants that turn into the fruits and the veggies that can feed you? Excuse me. If you're not going to harvest it. Why put all that time and energy into growing something that you're not going to harvest? Just a quick reminder. This is just a quick reminder. You put so much time and effort into the growth of whatever components needed to be grown. You put so much time and effort into your life, into expanding your awareness, into all sorts of different things, only to, I mean, are we self-sabotaging? And here's the thing, for a lot of the plants, right, the veggies especially, and the fruits, there's only a certain period where you can harvest that before it expires. The opportunity to harvest has passed. And then you're going to be like, no, but I want to harvest it now. Let me not get mean. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Have you ever grown fruits and veggies? I'm irritated with myself because I believe it was last year or 2 years ago. I took it upon myself to grow some fruits and veggies, right? And it was this beautiful experience. And I mean, I must have had like nearly 30 bags of top-notch soil with guano in it. And it was like really rich, like a really rich type soil. And I had maybe 20 to 30 bags delivered to the property that I was at the time. And I went ahead and I bought a whole bunch of veggies. I was not going to grow them from seed because I don't know how to do that. At that time, I didn't know how to do that. And I went through that period of learning how to grow plants from seeds. But I wanted to make sure that I had already established plants as well, okay, that I bought from the store. And so I spent months working on this. Months. And they were growing. They were thriving. I had little baby veggies that were growing. I was just so in love with this part of my life. And then shit happened with life. Bad shit. Bad things happened in life, like really bad things. And I had to attend to my life. I had to go attend to my brother. And I did not put any work or effort into that garden that I established, that I put all of this groundwork into. What I thought would be maybe 3 weeks tops became 3 months, 4 months before I actually was able to go back home. Do I then get to be like, no plants, that's bullshit? No plants, that is bullshit? Because at that point, Everyone was covered with snow. Everything had begun to rot. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's bullshit. My life happened, and you don't get to tell me that I don't get to harvest you because I already put the work into it. Like, hello, hello, hello. Like, no, that's not how it works. Opportunities have expiration dates. When we allow ourselves to use our life as a very excuse because we have not put the time and the effort to really assess what's a priority, what needs to be taken care of right now, what needs to be allowed to kind of just sit for a little bit, that's on you. It really truly is. That's on you. And maybe it's this thing of, like for me, there's been multiple times where my life, my circumstance has granted me the opportunity to kind of be exempt from certain things, right? Where I don't have to hold myself accountable. I mean, that doesn't happen all the time, but there's been a few times where, I've been very, very blessed to not have to hold myself accountable for certain things that I missed deadlines on. That's still really hard on me. That's still really, really hard on me because I hold myself to the highest degree of expectation and integrity. It's still hard on me. I still take accountability for my decision to not prioritize this or not prioritize that, to instead choose other things that maybe I shouldn't have chosen, and now my opportunity has been affected. I mean, are we manipulating ourselves? Are we lying to ourselves about what we need to do? About the person that we actually are? Are we going through a cycle of recognizing that we actually still operate in a victim mentality? Or are we entering into a cycle where we're being allowed to interact with specific individuals so that we can see the ways in which our energy, our communication, whatever it is, it's still enabling certain types of treatments that we thought we had already exited? I'm in the process of learning yet again. Um, I will not be providing exceptions for anything in my life. There's no more, this is the one time, this is the exception. No, I refuse. I refuse. Every time I have had that mindset of, okay, just this one time, this is the exception, I'll do it just this one time, it's always turned around and not just bit me in the ass, but slapped me in the face first. From personal circumstance to work circumstance to whatever it is, every single time. Every single time. Like every single time. So it's very hard. My thoughts, I question myself every day on my opportunities that I missed out on. Are they opportunities for you, or was the opportunity in the learning? Right? Was the opportunity all about learning through the perception of missing out on something? Because I'll go through those things where it's like I feel as though I messed up opportunities, but really, if I remove my expectation of myself out of that equation, did I miss out on an opportunity? Or was the opportunity in the recognition of the options that I had and what I chose to prioritize? I mean, if we go back to that example of the veggies, my options were to grow the veggies or to grow love between my brother and I, you know? I mean, love already existed there, like tremendous love. But did I need to choose that instead so that I could exercise um, my ability to discern when it's time to involve myself, when it's time to not? uh like interference was there's a lot of different lessons that came out of that. A lot of different opportunities to learn came out of that. Yes, my physical, in real life, tangible garden suffered, but my spiritual, emotional, intellectual, energetic garden thrived. I had to choose one or the other. The human me felt like that's so not fair. I put so much effort into that garden. The ethereal me, the etheric me, I'd decide the same thing over again. I would choose the same option over again. I would choose it over again. And that's the process of refinding your peace and your new baseline and not allowing yourself to continue to be sucked in to this perception of entitlement, first and foremost. Many of us struggle with entitlement. Secondly, many of us struggle with this very, very distorted sense of priorities. Priorities is not a priority then. If you have more than one priority, it's not a priority. It's a to-do list. Like, I'm going to put this in my list of priorities. I used to say that. And it's like, by definition, priority is your utmost important thing that you have to do. It can't be multiple things. It just can't be multiple things. Unfortunately, it can't. So then comes the question, are we lying to ourselves? Or are other people lying to us in order to provide us the opportunities to really, really ripen, amplify, elevate that learning opportunity that we're being presented by our soul? I like to think everything that's brought to us, everyone that's brought to us, serves a purpose in our growth. I would really like to think that, you know? I feel that so strongly. More than just think it, I feel it. Not too long ago, I was given the opportunity to once again see the effects of when I overgive, especially in a work sense. When I overgive, it creates such an imbalance and distortions, because it's like, for me, overgiving is my norm. That's just what I do. I just overgive. When I see and feel someone struggling, I want to help. I want to solve it. I want to fix it. I want to this and that and yada, yada, yada. And that's just my reality, is I'm an overgiver. And part of the way my business is structured is I have a small team. Because I lack the ability to really establish and maintain healthy boundaries where I'm not being taken advantage of. And that's not to say everyone tries to take advantage of me. You guys have been so respectful, so accommodating, so understanding about the insanity that's been my life lately. Well, most of you. And my team exists to protect me from myself. I'm not to be in the messages because I will literally say yes to everything. Almost everything. Some people can hashtag hug a dick, for real. but I know how I am, and my team knows how I am. And it's one of those things. And for a period, I was just like consistently overgiving to a specific individual. And I thought it was okay because I felt so bad for them, and it felt like they have no one, and this and that. And that's what always screws me up. This lie that I tell myself, this lie that I use to manipulate myself to return back to those toxic cycles of over giving. But they have no one. Boo. Let me have a conversation with myself real quick. Are you willing to invite this person to your house? Are you comfortable enough with this person to count them as family and allow them to be around your children? No? Then you're not their someone. Quit lying to yourself, Emmie. You are not their someone. Okay? Okay. Thank you. That's a harsh realization. That's a very harsh realization. Because then, when you overgive and you try and make it like, oh no, we're family. But then you really don't count them as family. Because if you're family to me, you know my children. You know them by name. You know what each one looks like. You've met them. You know what I mean? Like, that's family to me. Although I have love for everyone like their family, are they actually counted among my family? No. Although I offer friendship, unconditional friendship to pretty much everyone, am I counting you as my friend? Probably not. You're probably more like an acquaintance. Unless we've had private conversations where you know things that are happening in my private life that I don't talk about in public life, things that I'm private. I'm a very private person, y'all. A lot of the stuff I go through, I keep it right here, just tucked in the bra. I keep it right here. People don't know what's going on because I'm private. It's not secrets. It's private. This is my own life, my own circumstance right here that's happening. And unless you understand what's been tucked in there, I don't know that you're a friend. It's not to diminish the fact that you're an acquaintance. Learning the differences between the nuances in those connections we build with people. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to learn those nuances and the differences. And it's this thing of I can't treat everyone the same way. I try so hard to love everyone at the same depth and bleed for everyone in the same way that I would bleed for my blood family. But not everyone deserves that type of loyalty. That must be earned. That must be earned. And if you feel like you're entitled to that, if you feel like you're entitled to anything, if you feel like you're entitled to anything from me, thank you for your part in helping me learn that you are not. You absolutely are not. Oh my goodness. Let me just sip. I'm getting hot. That heat. The heat from that emotion. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, it's this thing of every once in a while I'll come across people who will behave and carry themselves as though, oh, poor me. And then you get to know them a little bit and it's like, oh no, it's not for you. You think you're entitled to stuff. And because we've established some like rickety connection, you feel comfortable enough now to try and reestablish the things with me. My hair is irritating me. You're trying to reestablish these things with me that you've done with everyone else because you've gotten away with it all the time. And let me tell you, the middle name of my soul is Karma, bitch. Ooh, that had venom. The middle name of my soul is Karma. Miss Karma, if you nasty. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Yeah, that's a parasitic RSVP. Okay. 5 of Winter. Walk away from. Oh, shit. Oh, I'm sorry. It's loud. That was loud. It's early in the morning. The children are sleeping. The children are still asleep. Ah, shit. Michael has spoken. Walk away from dishonest associations, realizing that what you thought you wanted isn't the best choice for your happiness. Something that's not worth the effort. Let me tell you, not everyone is worth the effort. If you think you're going to be saving someone because you're more evolved, because you have this and that and yada, 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 and you taken the classes and baba, 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 you going to save them from themselves? Because if that's who they are, if that's their character, it's not just a trauma response, honey bunny. Honey bunny, I think that might be their character. And I'm learning to discern people based on their character, how they present themselves, and also how they are behind that facade. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Ooh. Matthew. I have so many lies I've told myself that I believe I've taught the most valued people in my life how to lie to me. I have failed teaching them how to treat me and others. Now I don't trust them. Ooh. Mm. Mm. That hits me in the field somewhere deep. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. I mean, how many of us can resonate with what Matthew said? How many of us are right there like, yup, oh my gosh, I did that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I did that. Wow. I did that for a period. I thought the toxicity only existed within my family. You know what I mean? Like within my bloodline. I walked away from that bloodline. I walked away from all the relatives. And then I went through this thing where for about 18-month period, I established the same toxic dynamic, this time with strangers. Strangers that I then, you know, told myself were real friends. And then because they were able to play this game with longevity, they had stamina, right? I then began to convince myself they're my new family. They're my adopted family. You know what I mean? Like they're my family. And I couldn't understand where the toxicity came from. It came from the fact that I failed to realize, just like with Matthew, I was teaching them how to lie to me, how to use me, how to manipulate me. How to get the most out of me with minimal effort. I don't have to be ashamed to say that. I don't have to feel guilty. That is a part of my history. That's a part of my history as a human being and what's helped me to become the person I am now. When you go through these things, don't just stop at the realization. Continue forward until you uncover the root of why you behave in the way that you've realized. Continue forward, going beyond the discovery of the root causation that led to this effect. continue on and see how it soothes these parts of you that are still very much injured, that have begun to become gangrene. We have to not just see the problems, we have to seek out the solutions that properly, efficiently, effectively address those problems. And then we have to apply those solutions. It's not enough to know what's wrong with life. The moment you find out what is wrong with life is the moment you begin to become obligated to yourself to fix what's wrong. Things don't go wrong because you messed up. Things go wrong because your soul is presenting you an opportunity to figure out how to solve it, how to rebalance, how to return to a state of homeostasis, autonomy. This is a deep topic. This is just, whew. News, birth, celebrating announcements such as weddings, graduations, or births, friends you cherish. The wedding, is that a marriage between self and soul? Is that a literal wedding, or is that a message or a marriage between the self and the soul, where you are reunifying your parts, where you once were fractured, you're bringing it back together? Is that a marriage between your masculine and your feminine? Your fractals that were fragmented every time someone didn't give you permission to be who you are. There's a lot of hurt in the world right now. This hurt has existed for a very long time. It wasn't just because of the current medical state that we're in. I think the current social state just highlights what we've been suffering through very silently within ourselves. If you've always struggled with poor processing of your life, that's led to poor decision making. It wasn't COVID. It's you. It wasn't COVID. It's not because of COVID. It's you. These are choices you're making. This is about you taking responsibility for the way your choices and the options you choose are what's causing you to miss out on things, you to lose out on connections, you to create more struggle than what you actually need to learn what you need to learn. It's you. Just like when things go really well and everything that you work so hard for begins to pan out, and you begin to have all these opportunities that you've selected, all the options are creating a more ease of flow in your life. That's because of you. Okay? When things go right in your life, it's because of you. It's not because of someone else. It's because of you. And if you want to give someone else the credit, like people often tell me, like, you did this, Emmie. You changed my life. No, I didn't. You opted to continue to be present. You opted to actually hear and then process what I was sharing. You chose the option to apply what you learned from what I shared about myself and my journey. It's you. I might have inspired you. I might have triggered you. But at the end of the day, it is you. It's always only ever been you. But people tell me what to do. You allow them to. Well, I have no choice. I can't shut them up. But you allow them to enter into the mind and the heart. You take what they say and make it your truth. No. Do you know how many people have conspired, literally conspired, to shut me up and hide me away? Do you know how many people? That's my choice and my choice alone. If I'm going to allow you and your efforts to affect me to that degree, that I go ahead and buy into this storyline you are trying to sell me. And when you pay attention, you are paying with your energy, you are paying with your time. No, no. The time that I would have spent wasted paying attention to you, responding to you, arguing with you, trying to prove that I deserve to exist. No. All of that time and effort I would have put into that, I'm going to put into rising. You wanted me to stay on the ground floor? Bitch, watch me as I climb. See, had you not interfered, I probably would have lost my stamina, like the first flight of stairs. I probably would have, yeah, second floor. I would have been like, it's good, you know, I'm not on the ground floor anymore. It's fine. I'll just stay on the second floor. I'm just gonna chill here for a while, kind of just chill. Oh, but because you told me I'm not allowed to, I'm gonna keep going till I hit the roof. Thank you. Thank you for your part in my journey. You're dismissed. You've already done your part. You've helped me to be triggered to the degree that I'm not going to listen to you. No, I'm not going to reflect your pettiness either. If I'm going to be petty, it's going to be my choice to be petty, not because you told me I needed to show up on a battlefield. That's a beautiful thing about knowing how powerful you are. You can pick and choose which battles you go to. Not everyone deserves the honor of a skirmish with you. Sometimes I find myself kind of just like, no, I'm not even going to respond. I'm not even going to, no, I'm good. And sometimes when people witness me do that, they'll question, like, how come you're just letting them get away with that? Oh, because if I show up, I'll just make them cry. It's not worth it. I'm not like that towards children. I'm not one to make children cry. Yeah. I'm also not one to cater to children just because they're crying. I'm just not. I'm one to stand my ground within my life and my space without any lies that I'm telling myself, without using lies to manipulate myself, and kind of just quietly observe, why do I feel the way I do? Why do I find myself wanting to be reactive towards you, towards this circumstance? What is it? Oh, that's right. It reminds me of something in childhood. So the issue is not here right now. The issue is all the way back there in my history. Let me bring that forward and work on that instead of engaging with you. But thank you for your part in my learning. I do appreciate it. Class is done. You're allowed to go. I don't need you to stay present. I've already identified what you were brought into my life to identify. Thank you. No, I don't need to continue interaction. Thank you. Really, thank you. And being able to let people walk away without needing to have the last word, without needing to prove, without needing to assert your dominance. You know, like lions don't need to prove that they're lions. Y'all know that, right? They don't. They don't need to prove that they're lions. They don't need to go out of their way to prove to you the level of savagery that they could reach, you know? They kind of just exist. They kind of just exist, and all the other animals who witness them know. They know. They just know. They instinctually know. We like to try and separate ourselves from the animal kingdom, but the reality is we are actually still animals. We're part of the mammal family. We are mammalians. This whole concept of we're like the most advanced, yada, yada, yada. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We're so advanced. We're the most fragile animals on this earth. We're so fragile that we can't survive in an environment without manipulating the environment to protect us. We can't be exposed to the elements. Are you kidding me? We're the most powerful? No, we're the most manipulative. Not only do we manipulate our environment, we manipulate each other's perceptions. We do. This is what we do. Now, for some of us, we use an elevation in our manipulation skills to inspire people to exit out of toxic cycles. Let's define manipulation. Handle or control, typically in a skillful manner. Control or influence a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, unscrupulously. Alter. Let's see the origins. Let's look at. Here we go. Let's see. Examine or treat by feeling or moving it with the hand. To control or influence, alter data. I want the origin of the word. Okay, here we go. It comes from a French word from 1730, a handful, which is a pharmacist's measure. Latin manipulus, handful, sheaf, bundle, from manus, hand. To fill, sense of skillful handling of objects. In 1828, it became handling or managing persons, especially to one's own advantage. You see how the definition has changed? It's taken a while for it to change, but the skillful handling has become something really, really bad. Really, really bad. Is it though? To be able to skillfully handle other people's insecurities, blockages, distortions, and utilize that skillful handling to empower them? I'd say that's a good thing. And it's not a false sense of empowerment. It's a process that you have to go through and share tremendous amounts of time with me in order for it to actually work. Interesting. Interesting. Very, very interesting. People don't like it when you empower others. They don't. I'm not welcome in spiritual communities. Why? Because I give your power back to you. I'm not interested in being a guru, and my existence negates the need for gurus. A lot of people in the spiritual community don't like that. And it's not that I'm intentionally trying to dethrone them. It's more that when people actually witness the truth of someone who lives fully in sovereignty, everything short of that sovereignty, which is being my own guru and me seeing you and telling you you can be your own guru too, and you should. You should. It kind of causes everything outside of that to look like bullshit. Because it is. It is. Or you have to follow someone else's teachings. See, you guys, I'm not teaching you in these live streams. I'm sharing my perceptions about my life, my experiences, the world at large. And I'm inviting you to become a critical thinker, someone who questions this quasi-reality you've been living. It's a quasi-reality because you didn't fully create it yourself. You allowed the perception of you being in control to make you feel like you've owned your life. But in reality, you live out of obligation to the different programs that run through this matrix, gender roles, socioeconomics, regions, geographic regions, hell, down to melanin content. And it's even within the same culture. In my culture, we're a tropical people. We live in the tropics. We're bathed in sunlight day in and day out. Yet the societal expectation within my culture, the beauty standard is pale AF skin. That's crazy. That's crazy. For a tropical people to make the beauty standard something that's not realistic. Do you know how common it is? If you go into an SM shopping mall, how many skin lightening products you'll find? My color right now, this is dark for my people. I'm considered a little too tan. Like, you should, if I were to go to the Philippines right now and see my relative, they'd be like, oh my God, you're so pretty, but you should use some skin lightening. That's crazy. That's legit crazy to me. That is legit crazy to me. That's not my reality. That's not my reality. I'm not meant to look like the color of milk. Like, that's not my reality. Why would that be my reality? It's not. Yet that's what I'm programmed to believe. And for a large portion of my life, I had a severe vitamin D deficiency. Like, severe. Why? Because I was so averse to being in the sun. Why? Because I was taught from a very young age that unless I look albino, I'm not going to be pretty. That's crazy. That's crazy. My culture is not the only one that does this. It's not. In most cultures where the people have a higher melanin content, most, not all, the standard of beauty is something outside of what's normal and natural for the people. Hell, even people with naturally pale AF skin, what's their beauty standard? To be tan. The world we live in is so full of manipulation and lies that you are not allowed to love yourself as you are. That's not allowed. How dare you think you can? That's not allowed. And then here's the thing that I'm seeing is that there's this thing that I'm seeing where it's like the standard of beauty is now like biracial or mixed adults, right? And that's not to say that biracial or mixed people of any age are not beautiful. They're beautiful. Everyone's beautiful. In their own way, everyone is beautiful. But the thing is this, like, that's the new standard. Racially ambiguous would probably be the better way to describe it. But then if you're racially ambiguous, then you also will be attacked because, I mean, you have to identify as one thing. You can't just be beautiful and not make it easy for us to identify you as one thing. Lately, because TikTok is totally my therapy, I have come across so many videos of people who are literally biracial, and people are attacking them for being biracial because their coloring is not appropriate for what they are identifying as. What? What? Why are we buying into this crap? Why are we buying into this crap? And then when we see people who really are appropriating, not sticking up for them, because I kind of find that disgusting when you're trying to present yourself as something other than you're actually not. It's not even a celebration of someone else's culture. You know what I mean? It's just straight up trying to appropriate. I don't like that. I have no problem with people celebrating other people's cultures and aesthetics. That's fine. You're appreciating it. Okay, that's fine. You're being respectful about it. Okay, that's fine. But to kind of just try and monetize off of that, that's kind of not fine. That's kind of not fine. But here's the thing. This is what we're ceasing. This is where we need to take it a step further, because instead of just identifying specific people, we need to identify the root causation of the issue. And what is that? That we're not allowed to be free to appreciate our culture and our people from the region we come from. We're not allowed to appreciate that beauty as it is. That's kind of bullshit, isn't it? That's kind of bullshit. That's kind of bullshit. And these are the same cycles we go through for so many different aspects in our life. It's not just about aesthetics. We have this for careers, where you live, what type of house you live in, the person you choose to love, your education, all kind of different things. It's not enough to just be you. You have to live up to some sort of program. Yeah, Matthew. He says, I swear that trolls are paid to start those arguments about that stuff. Bait for the stupid, life is life. So they're called social engineers. They are people who have mastered the art of manipulation, malignant manipulation. The technical term is a social engineer. You're engineering that social environment in a malignant way. Yeah. But how are we being our own social engineers? How are we being malignant with ourselves? What stories are we telling ourselves about things within our lives, our connections, all of these different aspects of us that we haven't even allowed ourselves to see, much less appreciate and accept? Once upon a time, I was my own malignant social engineer when I continued to allow myself to believe wholeheartedly that to be as different as I am from other people is to be an abomination in the eyes of God. That me as I am, because I can do things that other people can't, that I'm somehow demonic. Why do you think I stayed hidden for so long? Why do you think I still hide so much of me? Because it doesn't feel safe to be different. And here's the lie in that. It doesn't feel safe to be different. And until it's safe for me to be different, then I have to hide myself. But the more I hide myself, the less people know about these differences. The less and the longer it will take, the less people will accept it, and the longer it will take people to accept it. Those differences, the less I allow myself to be witnessed. Crazy, right? Crazy. Crazy. You have no idea your effect on other people's experience. When you allow other people to just witness you, you have no idea the effect you have on other people's experiences. Once upon a time, I was very much ridiculed for the way I do energy work. Like, are you doing Tai Chi? Is that Asian stuff? No. It's Kokoro 33 stuff. Why is she moving her hands like that? Because I'm doing morphogenetic standing scalar wave repatterning. It was weird. It was weird for people to see it. It didn't take very long for quite a few other people now to be doing it. It really didn't take long. When you stand in your truth and you have no shame in the way you do things, because there's nothing to be ashamed about, people then begin to open their eyes to the possibility of this might be something beautiful. This might be something powerful. And it's not powerful because people now are acknowledging it as powerful. It's powerful because it's always been powerful for you, to you. And people are witnessing your freedom of expression. That's powerful. That's powerful. Several years back, my authenticity was weird. It's uncomfortable for people to see me be so authentic, be so real. You mean be a human being? I'm just being a feeling human being. Didn't take very long for that to be some sort of social media shit where, like, you got to be authentic. But see, the thing is, that's manufactured authenticity at that point. Is that for me to fix? No. That's none of my concern. Why? Because I'm busy growing myself and taking myself to the next level of learning. And that's it. Oh my gosh, Marcola, why? I've never thought you to be weird. Thank you, first and foremost. I've been scared to ever chat in your room, but I've always tuned in to learn. Oh my goodness. I hope you chat more because there's nothing for you to be scared of chatting. Nothing. The people that I respond in a very salty way to, these are people who have malicious intent, and I can read that. I can read that. I can feel it. I can feel the loadedness, the condescending energy. I can feel it. I'm reacting to your energy, not your words. There is absolutely no reason for you to not comment, Marcola. At all. Like at all. For real. At all. At all. And that's the thing, is that our perception is what causes us to believe these things. Recalibrate that perception for more clarity. Recalibrate it. There's nothing any of you ever have to be afraid of when it comes to me. For real. For real. Only the malicious people. You should be scared. You should definitely be scared, because I'm not going to take your caca. But no, and it has to be an intentional maliciousness. And I can tell the difference. It's not a mistake. It's not something where like, I don't know if I did that. I can't control my energy. No, that's never counted against you. You guys, I am totally the person who does not hold above your head any shortcomings that you find within yourself. I don't even see those as shortcomings. I see those as untapped potentialities. I will never hold your own wounds against you. Most people who have like an attitude problem with other people, they get along with me. Is it because I have an attitude problem? No, it's because I see it's not an attitude problem. Life's hurt you a lot. Yeah, you spoke really rude to me, but it's not me. I know it. I can see it. I can feel it. And I feel like you're really, really sorry that you couldn't. It's okay. I was there too. Sometimes I'm there right with you. That's fine. You can be a whole person here. You don't just have to be nice. You don't have to just be polite. You can actually be in any of your moods and be here. And I can, for the most part, be like, okay, you having a bad day today. It's okay. I know it's not me. You don't even have to apologize of like, Emmie, I'm sorry that I was snippy. No, you're going through something. I mean, I don't know what you're going through. And because I don't know what you're going through, I know that behavior is not directed at me or because of me. Don't worry about it. I hope everything's okay today. Literally, I hope everything's okay today. And that's the thing. Many of us don't have this in our environment. Many of us have never been allowed to experience this. That's okay. No one was this for me either. One day I woke up and I chose to be this for myself and my entire environment. That was a choice I made. No, I did not decide that at a very, very young age. I decided that well into my adulthood. Well into my adulthood. The more I decided to be this for myself within my life, and also for the people who joined me in my life, the more peaceful my life became. Now, it wasn't overnight. It was a gradual transition because it was worth it. Structures that are properly built on foundations that are designed to last generations, they're not built overnight. They're not. They are not built overnight. These are things that require time, planning, surveying, all sorts of different things. Oh my God. Okay, so Como says, the love that exists did not happen overnight as well. This is something that's been cultivated through a lifetime of longing and seeking, a lifetime of falling short, other people falling short of the expectations because other people are not the actual thing. I don't know who that applies to. I don't know who that's going to help, but I hope her contribution to this conversation helps someone to understand something. Some people are irreplaceable. Just because they're irreplaceable to you does not mean you're entitled to keep them. It does not mean you own them. It means that when they are present, cherish them. Treat them as the irreplaceable treasure that they are to you, your heart, and your journey. For some, you'll have another opportunity. These are the people who they needed the time to learn profound things in your absence. And that was always a part of the plan, to learn the most profound things in your absence. And for others, they'll come and go, never to return. What? Sorry. Okay, production delays. Hold on. What's the message here? Working full time. Okay. All right. About taking accountability. I think that's what that message is for. Taking accountability. Holding yourself responsible for anything that maybe it's not even in your control, but just owning it, you know, owning it. That's awesome. That's so poetic. That's my printer. I go through a specific company to professionally print any type of certificates that I award for programs that I run. And it's this thing of failing to meet the expectation and holding themselves accountable for that. You know what I mean? Like timelines, deadlines, things like that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That ties into the whole subject matter that we're discussing here today, where we have to hold ourselves accountable. It's not about blame. It's about taking ownership of the decisions we've made, not trying to pass it off to other people, not trying to lie. God, I cannot stand people who lie. I cannot stand liars. Number one rule dealing with Emmie. I'm much more sensitive than what I let on. I know your intent to lie before you even say the lie, before you even write the lie. I can read what you wrote in an email and know exactly what you're thinking as you're writing it. For the most part, I ignore all of that. I just blinders and earmuffs. I don't need to hear or see everything it's like overwhelming. So don't lie to me. Very accommodating, like excessively so. I'm very accommodating. I'm very understanding. When you communicate a need, there's a high likelihood your need will be accommodated. I hate when people lie to me with zero provocation. Liars get zero compliance from me. Zero. I will not feel bad for you. No. Nope. You will not be extended any graces. No. If you can't even find it within yourself to be honest in your communications, I don't want to communicate with you. Yeah, I mean, why would I? Why would I? And yeah, when you hold yourself to the degree of integrity that I hold myself to, that's not an unfair, unrealistic expectation. If I would not allow myself to lie to you, I kind of expect that in return. Now, if I'm consistently lying, I can't really be mad if you're lying and being a mirror, right? So this is about recognizing, are you being triggered by other people's behaviors because you yourself are manipulative and a liar? Or is it because you hold yourself to a standard that you like really bend over backwards for and try and have such an elevation in your integrity, and you feel you deserve a minimum level of integrity and respect that whoever is not going to try and lie and manipulate, gaslight? This is a question you gotta, this is a question you definitely need to ask yourself. Y'all, if you could do me a favor and report that comment right there, um, trying to touch on the topic of violence and Asian women. If y'all could just report that profile really quick before I ban it. So we have to really be aware, like really, really be aware of the ways in which we carry ourselves. Is your expectation of other people in alignment with your expectation of your own behavior? Do you hold yourself to that same standard? It's really not fair and not realistic if you don't hold yourself to that same standard that you're expecting of other people. You know what I mean? You just got to make sure that you're honest with yourself about how you actually are. I absolutely am entitled to have the position that I have regarding liars and manipulators because I don't do that to people. Ever. I don't do that to people. Nope. No. Just like I'm entitled to have my stance on people's violation of my sacred and sovereign space. Because, I mean, really, I don't ever do that to people. You tell me to not come around again, I won't. You tell me or make me feel like I'm not welcome there, then I'm not coming back there. Hold yourself to the same standards that you hold other people to. What does that mean? If you can be patient AF for other people, then you're going to need to be patient AF for yourself as well. If you can overlook other people's shortcomings, the mistakes that they make, like all these different things that, they really shouldn't have been allowed to continue to be a part of your life, yet you can overlook that, you're going to need to overlook all the ways in which you think you've failed yourself, all the shortcomings that you think you have. I promise you, you don't have as many shortcomings as you make yourself out to have. There's a difference between having an actual genuine shortcoming and just being unrealistic and unfair of your expectations of yourself. Those are two very different things. Two very different things. No more procrastinating. Your power comes from making a decision. Confusion that arises from overanalyzing the options. Don't get confused. You've made a decision, stick with it. You've made a decision, stick with it. You didn't come to this decision lightly, okay? You didn't come to this decision lightly. It's taken you a very long time to find the courage to be this honest with yourself. Do not spend any more time or energy trying to talk yourself out of whatever you've already come to the conclusion of. A lot of your suffering comes from that type of behavior, where you've made a decision and you already know. You already know. But you don't want to be someone who gives up on someone else. And I mean, are you giving up? Or are you finally respecting the reality, accepting the reality that this is who they are? Which one is it? How is it going to be abandonment if you don't actually have proof of how long you were destined, planned on a soul level, to be in that person's life? We don't know how long we're supposed to be in each other's lives. One by one, eventually, people will no longer be in your life for one reason or another, and you will do the same to other people as well. It's not necessarily something malicious. Sometimes we move, sometimes we grow apart, sometimes we break up, sometimes the children grow up and have their own lives. Sometimes we die. We are not guaranteed a specific time frame of how long, how present we will be in other people's lives. We have to let go of this perception of abandonment, because then that comes from a place of like, well, I've decided. Well, who gave you the authority to decide on someone else's life? Exactly. No one. But they promised, okay, people can change their minds. People can change their minds. Not just that. Did you do something to cause someone to change their mind, to cause someone to feel differently about you? Well, I'm not trying to blame you. I'm trying to get you to see there are so many other factors that we as human beings completely disregard as we try and manipulate, skillfully handle the situations our lives give us. How are we going to skillfully handle something we won't allow ourselves to experience fully, completely, and learn totally from? We can't. You only become skillful after you have enough experience in it. Do you know why it takes so long to become a doctor, to become a lawyer? You know why? You need to clock in X amount of hours of hands-on experience. I didn't even get into the medical program. I didn't get an opportunity to apply because I decided to bow out of traditional school. I'm very good at diagnosis. Why? Why? Because I've come across enough people. I've come across enough people with varying degrees of the same type of circumstance. And I've learned the symptomatic presentations, when paired with other symptomatic presentations, have a very high likelihood of being X condition. And then when I take that into consideration and I go ahead and scan the systems and I see the presentation within the organ systems that support that diagnosis, I can then tell the client, I'm not allowed to diagnose you, but you might want to ask your doctor about this, this, and this. Ask them to order this, this, and this test so they can properly diagnose you. What's the difference between me and a doctor? They've had to memorize all of that stuff so that they can earn that piece of paper that assures you that they have enough hours of experience. And even with those hours of experience, not all doctors are the same. Quite a few actually suck. Quite a few actually suck. Why do they suck? It's not for lack of training. highly contingent on the gravity, the severity of their God complex. When the doctor doesn't want to listen to you because you don't have the degree, and what they say has to be taken as the word of the medical god, that's a shitty doctor. That's a shitty doctor. Yep. If you want to be the doctor of your life and you don't take into account other people's perceptions, because they're able to see things without that emotional distortion that all of us have when we are in the situation, you're being a shitty doctor for yourself. You are. I've been a shitty doctor for myself quite a few times. Yeah. When you're so emotionally invested in a specific outcome, yeah, it's going to affect the way you experience and the way you perceive and the way you move forward based on that perception. And that's just that. And that's just that. So what do you have to lose versus what can you gain when you allow yourself to be open to seeing yourself from someone else's eyes? And just because someone else is being allowed to see you does not mean their assessment of you is accurate. But be open to receiving that assessment, that opinion, and run it through all of these checks and measures of who you know yourself to be. And I think our main problem as people in general is that we don't know enough of who we actually are beyond the trauma, beyond the life of obligation, beyond all of these social expectations of who we're supposed to be. Case in point, that person who commented that thing about Asian women. A lot of people have fetishized Asians. Yeah. All sorts of different women have been given these different types of roles that we're supposed to play. So the Asians, I mean, this is going to sound really disgusting, but we need to understand how disgusting the world is programming us to be. Okay. So Asian women are supposed to be passive, right? We're supposed to be doormats and passive. And then let's go with an extreme. Black women are supposed to be angry. I've never met a Black woman that's angry. I have a lot of Black women friends. They're amazing. They're amazing. Highly fucking tolerant of all sorts of bullshit. Very quick to be able to overlook a lot of offenses and shit. I don't get it. I know a lot of Asian women who are fucking spicy as fuck. You're not going to tell them shit. Hey, if you think you're going to marry an Asian woman, yeah, you're in for a treat. You are so fucking in for a treat. Wow. And then Latinas, the women of y'all are just what, like sex objects? Like clean the house and like what the fuck? Are you kidding me? This is what the world is programming us women to believe about ourselves. I'm sorry, sir. Fuck your program. I'm gonna be whoever the fuck I want to be. You don't gotta tell me who to be. I know exactly who to be. I'm gonna be myself. You don't like it? Too fucking bad. I didn't need your permission to exist. Too fucking bad. Oh, but wait, you're supposed to be passive, yeah? I didn't get the fucking memo. You didn't get the memo, but Asians are supposed to be overachievers and rule followers, not this one. Sorry that I'm not sorry. Fuck you anyways. I'm just saying, like, all of this shit that we buy into Why are you buying into that? Why are you buying into that? None of that is valid. It's only valid and validated by the people who keep participating in the bullshit. Stop participating in that. From the macro to the micro, this happens on the big scale globally and also happens micro within your life, in your family. Your birth order dictates who you're supposed to be in that family. I'm the youngest in my family. And some people might hear that and be like, oh, makes sense. That's why you behave the way you do. My ass grew up like motherfucking Cinderella. I remember being in preschool and I was the one washing dishes after dinner. Yeah. I'm the only girl in my family. And so I was the maid. Growing up, I was the maid. Why am I so good at domestic shit? Because that's what I was programmed to be good at. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my family said, fuck birth order. We're doing it by gender roles. Yeah. Okay. Nothing but male siblings. We're doing it by gender roles. Who gives a shit that you're the youngest? You're going to clean up after everybody. And no, they don't need to put their plate away. Leave it at the table. You got to do that shit. You got a project coming up? Fuck your project. You're the girl, clean shit. So why am I the way I am now? Because it wasn't healthy for me my entire life when I played into the roles society, culture, family told me I needed to play into. How about this? I'm going to be whoever I am. If you don't like it, gather your shit and leave. Because I know I'm not a bad person. I'm highly accommodating, very compassionate. I make up the excuses for you. You don't even have to take the time to make the excuses. I come up with the excuses for you. So when I run out of excuses, get the fuck out of my life. Because I'm done. And that's not me being mean. That's me finally loving myself. I'm no longer willing to manipulate myself and lie to myself about who you are to me. Nothing but a lesson. A lesson that's helping me better learn how to more properly, more deeply love myself. And then I what comes to mind is this conversation that I was having with someone who was once my friend. They were my friend at that time. And I remember I was in Walmart and I don't really know what our conversation was, but I had shared a portion of my childhood, and this person, I believe she's a psychologist, if I remember right. She's a psychologist and a licensed therapist or some shit like that. She was my friend a while back. And it was something like, as soon as she realized the detail that I had shared, she totally, like, I think she sent like a crying face. And then she was like, I love you so much. And I wish I could just hug you. And then I was kind of like, why are you writing all of this? What is so sad? That's childhood. It's like not a big deal. And then I realized, and I was walking past the beach towels in Walmart. That's how profound that moment was. I was chatting with her, I believe, on Facebook, or like, I think I had WhatsApp or something like that, something text. And I realized, like, whoa, she's identifying trauma like I'm a traumatized person. Holy shit, that's not normal, is it? Oh my God, that's not normal. Holy crap, I thought it was normal. Not normal in that it happens in every family, but normal in that some families have those type of dynamics and that's just kind of what it is. No, it's not normal. Yeah, it wasn't normal. And the only reason I realized, and it was this like epiphany, like, oh my God, excuse me, a lot of the things that were normalized are trauma inducing. And if you didn't grow up in that culture or that type of environment, then you would be like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, oh my God, I'm sorry you had to go through blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. Yes, it's true. A lot of things in my life have been very traumatic. I've lived a very traumatized life. But also, yes, it's true. All these traumas that I've experienced were amazingly powerful jumping points that helped me to jump to a higher level of understanding of myself and the world and the ways in which I need to begin being the person who nurtures me, who loves me. And it still took quite a few years. It still took quite a few years to really grasp, like, what has life taught me? What have I allowed to teach myself? Has every single person who's crossed my path helped me to learn more about myself and life at large? Yes, even the malignant, malicious people. Yes, everyone. Ooh, your access is confirmed. Your access to higher levels of being, living, knowing is confirmed. Card number 5, unity. Do the right thing for the right reason. Compare traditional versus new approaches to see which works for you. A spiritually minded community. Instead of spiritually minded community, let's go with like minded. People who are interested in the same level of compassionate healing as you. Allow yourself to exist in that type of environment now. It doesn't matter what your religious or spiritual beliefs are. Find environments and people who allow you to heal in the most compassionate way possible. In the most compassionate way possible. There's no religion that's absolutely right and truth or absolutely wrong and malicious. There's not. They all have these things peppered within them. Aspects and fragments of truth and healing, aspects and fragments of hurt and harm, distortion, manipulation, all of those things. Children or childhood, the return of people or romances from your past, remembering events differently in a better or worse light than how they really occurred. So if things need to be rehashed for you, rehash them in a different way. Don't just repeat those cycles. Allow the rehashing to be something where you open yourself to receiving how this person received that experience you had before, this experience you had together, and how it grew them and changed them for the better or for the worse, and see how it differs or is the same as what you thought. Because typically what I found is when you don't get the answer to the question you're asking, if it's someone that carried some sort of importance for you, you have a tendency to create an entire story in the silence. And the story that's created oftentimes will be worst case scenario. Like there are some people to date, there's two. Three, make it three. There are three people who quietly exited my life, or I quietly exited theirs. We quietly exited each other's lives at some point. And there was no actual like confrontation, drama, or any of that. It was just like a separating and exit. And it felt like things were kind of left unfinished, right? And so I didn't get any type of indication as to why that connection ended. And I created an entire story in my own head about what happened. And usually, what happens is any insecurities that I have play a major role. Like, oh my God, I was probably so annoying. Oh my God. I was so annoying. Oh my goodness. They couldn't stand me. Oh my God. They probably hate me. No, they do. Oh my God, they hate me. They were tolerating me that whole time because they felt sorry for me. And they've always hated me, and they couldn't even stand me to the point where it's like they just had to go. They just had to go. And is that really what happened? Is that really what happened? I don't know. Because I've never had the courage to reach out to any of them and ask, like, hey, did I do something? So I'm probably never going to know. But do I still have that type of communication within myself? Like, worst case scenario communication, where I'm telling myself this entire story of why they hate me and they couldn't stand me. And yeah. No, now it's kind of like, people grow, people change. Um, Maybe one day I'll have an opportunity to kind of just ask, like, what happened? And I'll share my end, and hopefully they're willing to kind of share with me what they were going through at that time, so I have a better understanding. Um, but if I never do, then I'm going to choose to believe our paths kind of just separated, because there was no actual like confrontation or official falling out type situation. I'm going to just assume that we grew apart, and you know, I can still be happy for them. I can still create this scenario in my head where they're living their best life, their happiest life, and I'll just be happy for that. I'll just really allow myself to be like, yeah, no, they're probably living their best life. They're probably doing amazing things, and they didn't need my presence to do that. And maybe in some ways, um, that split, the diverging of pathways, is what they needed in order to be free to live this new life that's amazing for them. you know and these three people are not people I've been in relationships with, like romantic relationships with. These are people who hold space still in my heart because they affected my growth in such a profound way. In such a profound way. Do I need to kick them out of that proper place? No. They'll always have that spot. They'll always have that spot. Does that mean I'm waiting for them to come back into my life and my life is not complete without these people? No, doesn't mean that either. Because just like I can create this story in my head about how they're probably living an amazing life, I can also at the same time create this reality within my life. 14444. What? I can create this reality within my life where I actually am living my best life possible, where I found my internal peace and my place of center, where I found that stillness and I'm able to more clearly see a lot of the events that I've lived. Let's do that. Let's do that for ourselves. Perspective. Allowing yourself to shift your perspective so it's not as blurry, it's not as distorted. Card number 23, broken dreams. Only you can accept or reject your dreams. Ooh. Ooh. That mirror was shattered. That mirror was shattered. Whatever was going to be brought to fruition, symbolized by the egg, that potentiality was lost. But here is what you have to remember. The egg can break, and that potential, that specific potential contained within that egg, might have been lost, but the hen is still alive. There are more eggs to be laid, more potentials to tap into. And because of this experience, the next time you handle an egg, now you know. It might seem like a hard shell. It might seem impenetrable. But the reality of it is it's fragile, and it's to be handled with care, with consideration. So, Como says, a lot of learning has taken place. And now, should that egg be placed in a hand again, the hand will hold it with a proper respect, reverence, and cherishing. Not everyone deserves this type of privilege of being able to access you again after they broke your egg, right? Not everyone. But some people do. A select few. And you'll know who those people are. Not everyone deserves this type of honor, where if they come back around, they get to access you again, and But here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. If you have grown tremendously since that last access point, you're a different person. You have different standards, different expectations, right? That alone guarantees it's not going to be the same thing, because you're going to see it and then it's going to be like, oh, God, it's the same shit. I'm good, right? If it's the same shit. Secondly, the people who deserve to try again, either friendship, partnership, business partnership, whatever it is, they will have grown as well. And that time away, you both have grown. You both have become different people. And so when you come back around, when they come back around, when this is revisited, in every single way, it's not the same thing. You're not repeating the same thing. It's not a been there, done that, because they're a different person now. And theoretically, you live in a different house within yourself now. So no, you haven't been there. No, you haven't done that. This is a brand new experience. That's not for everyone, though. Okay? So if you've changed, if you know you've become such a different person, and then someone from the past comes back and you can tell like they're such a different person, they still have the same face, they still have the same voice, but they're just so different, then maybe it's time to get to relearn each other and see if now there's some pathway that's been forged, that's been established, that can bridge that gap, that can create some sort of synchronicity. Card number 21, the key to intimacy. So for those that this is true for, this is going to be a very intimate connection. Intimacy is not exclusive to sexual acts, okay? It's not exclusive to sexual natured topics. Intimacy can be a depth of intelligent connection, emotional connection, energetic connectivity. When it's a connection that exists beyond the surface level, that's an intimate connection. Okay? Inner integration, there's a peace, equilibrium, and fulfillment in integrating the inner wild with a taming and tempering effect life has on us. So this is telling me that for some, I want to make that clear, for some, both participants have been integrating, and the taming and tempering of their wild aspects that created unrealistic, misaligned expectations, those have been hammered out. Those have been hammered out, and maybe this time around is going to be a lot healthier, more balance, less expectation, more actual presence, meaning being very present in the process of relearning each other and seeing how the other fits into your life as it is now. Not how it was then, but as it is now. Responding, not reacting. The only control we have is in how we respond to the hand we are dealt. Do you know the difference between responding and reacting? Responding comes from a place of power where you're actually actively choosing how to handle what's been presented to you. Reacting is nothing but triggered emotion. You don't get a say in it. When you allow yourself to exist as simply reactive in nature, you're giving all your power away, because really, though, you can be in a place of peace and I can come and tell you peace is done. Now you're going to be mad. And if you allow my behavior to do that by letting you be reactive to my presence, then I have your power. Being simply reactive is like letting me know. I can look at you in your peace and be like, no, today, you're going to be sad today. I'm going to do things to make you sad. And you actually being sad, like, what the frick? What the frick? Don't give people that kind of power. I have had so many people try and establish that type of power over me, like, I'm going to dictate your mood. No, you're not, bitch. No, you're not. I don't know who lied to you and told you that's possible. Only I dictate the way my day goes. Only I do. I don't give a shit if you try. I'm not paying attention to you. Yeah. Oh, you thought I was going to pay attention to you? To you? As one of my kids says, you talking to me? You say that to me? No, no one was talking to you. He used to say that. You talk me? You say that to me? All squeaky voice, like, no, bruh. No one was talking to you. Card number 25, release a dark wound and let love live. Let go of whatever happened in the past. Holding on to that past memory is like holding on to a fish that's expired. Let go of it. Let go of it. If you feel like letting go of it is going to be a waste of that fish, baby boo, put that rotting fish in a compost pile. Let it do its thing and break down in the compost pile, and then you can reuse it as the fertilizer for your garden, okay? But keeping that rotting fish in your pocket is a surefire way to get a stinky result. Just saying. Making my skin hurt. Card number 35, conscious connections. Someone's watching you, Pisces. They're watching you. There's no more heart-based connection. There's no more fear of like survival. There's no sacral or solar plexus or root chakra connection. Everything's kind of just gone gray there. Whatever that person is in. So this is a third-party circumstance for some. whatever that person is in is kind of gone gray. There's just nothing left there. And they're watching you, Pisces. Okay? They're watching you. Wow. Hold up. All right. Card number 24, new birth guarded vigilantly. There will be those who will really, really try so hard to infest you with their toxicity. There will. There absolutely will be. They can try all they want. They can try all they want. What's the effect on you? Because that part you can control. That part you absolutely can control. Now, you can have that initial knee-jerk reaction of being very upset and then shift out of that being very upset and have a very cognitive, very aware, very chosen, carefully selected response. You know, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. We got to make sure we consciously choose what we're going to consciously choose. We can't allow ourselves to be so highly and easily controlled, manipulated by other people. We just can't. We can't. And then there might be situations where people will try and involve you in whatever it was that they're trying to force. What are you going to choose? Like for me right now in this moment, I'm aware of certain things that people might not realize that I'm aware of. No, I'm going to choose to stay in my peace. As I said before, make a decision and stick with it. You know, make a decision and stick with it. I'm sticking with my decision. I won't be rocked from it. I made a decision yesterday. Sticking with it. Why? Because that decision is what I was feeling and knowing to my core is the most fair for everyone involved. The most fair for everyone involved. Because like I said, I'm going through these cycles where I'm learning every fucking time I convince myself to make exceptions to very basic, very, very basic life policies, business policies. It always comes back as bullshit. No more. No more. No more. Decision I made, I'm sticking with it. I made a decision, I'm sticking with it. And that's that. It's not about being stubborn. It's about allowing my life to teach me about myself. About how when I make exceptions to the bare basics of what I have set for myself, have I ever enjoyed any of the outcomes of that? No. It's always been bad. It always involves more, give me more. It always becomes this thing of, oh, God, again? Again? What is this? Why? And you know what it's teaching me? There are people who exist who see me as someone who is easily swayed. There are people who exist who see me as someone who I won't retaliate. You can pressure me into things. You can manipulate me emotionally if you like tug on certain strings. And that's not to be interpreted as there are people who see me as weak. No. That's absolutely to be interpreted as there's people who still see these beautiful things about me that keep me soft. Evidence of me being a loving person, being a good person. And it's okay for them to see that, but they're not going to take advantage of that. They're not going to take advantage of that. I am so beyond grateful to my team. Rachel and Frey, like, they shield me from so much. They shield me from so much. And I'm so grateful for them because they know the truth of who I am. And they want to protect me. They help me to understand the boundaries that need to maybe be adjusted or maybe be reinforced. It's a very beautiful thing. It's a very, very beautiful dynamic. Very beautiful dynamic. Because it's not just about like their existence in my life. It's not just about being able to like have them say no. Because there's been plenty of times where I don't know what the appropriate response is. And they'll be like, okay, so these are the different options. These are the different things we need to consider. Maybe, we need to consider like, this more compassionate, more accommodating thing because, X, Y, and Z. And, what do you think? And then I'm like, well, that sounds like a good logic. Good. Yeah, I agree, And then there's other times where it's like, okay, X, Y, and Z. It's going to probably become 1, 2, and 3. What are your thoughts? Well, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Well, remember that one over there. Oh, yeah. I remember that. So, what do you want to do? Well, what do you think we should do? I think we should take the numbers out of the equation. Let XYZ stand on its own because we don't need to participate in 1, 2, 3. All right. Good option. Let's do that. Let's do that. Being able to exist with such a balance in my life where it's not always about, we got to protect Emmie from the bad people. No. They also serve this function. We got to protect Emmie from her trauma responses too. We got to protect Emmie from not being able to allow herself to fully see the full picture. Like, girl, the picture goes all the way across. It's not right there. It's all the way across. Look at the whole thing. And then process. It's a very, very blessed life to be able to trust people outside of myself, to see the big picture, and to help me guide myself through whatever that is. I'm intimidating. Do a lot of you guys think I'm intimidating? I would love to have you guys share your perspective on how you receive me and my energy, how you perceive it and receive it. Card number 1, after the storm. Storms have the power to terraform your entire mental and emotional landscape. Storms can cleanse, storms can reform, storms can erode away. Whatever the storm is, it's doing something beneficial for you. Just remember that, okay? Just remember that. These storms exist for a reason. They are yours. You are not simply the land receiving the water. You are not simply the clouds or the rain. You are the entire ecosystem. You are the sky. You are the land. You are the water that connects the two. You are what lives on the land that benefits from the water. You are a totality, okay? You are a totality. You are a whole being. And just because you don't recognize this about yourself yet, doesn't mean it doesn't already exist. So, no, truthful. Yes, not your energy, but your knowledge. You're authentic. This is what intimidates others sometimes, but it's needed. No, but I get so into the messages. I think, please, oh wait, I hope I've not upset Emmie. Oh, no, you guys, whatever I get upset about, that's my own process playing out in front of you guys. Has nothing to do personally with you. Okay. Has nothing to do with you as a person. Someone who's a part of my journey on the live streams. Has nothing to do with you, unless I say it's you. Unless I say it's like literally you. Which, I'm trying not to have those types of exchanges publicly. And it's not because I'm ashamed to or afraid to. Like, I totally own my stance. It's more that I'm beginning to understand my opinions. For some, my opinions carry a lot of gravity, and it would be irresponsible of me. It would be inconsiderate and irresponsible of me to correct you in front of everyone. And I don't know if me, correcting the way you're trying to interact with me is going to have the type of effect where you just really respect me, you value my opinion. And because I've done that, now it's like you feel so badly about yourself. I don't want to be the reason you feel badly. You know what I mean? I'm starting to understand like a small portion of what I could possibly mean to other people and how that possibility could have a very profound effect on your perception of yourself. I'm a moody ass motherfucker sometimes. I am. Sometimes I'm a moody ass motherfucker and I be feeling people's energy. Like, no. I'm trying not to bleed all over everyone who graces me with their presence, is what I'm trying to get at. I might be injured, but unless you were the one holding the knife and cut me, I have no right to bleed all over you. I have no right to bleed all over you. And I'm beginning to realize that sometimes in that correction of behaviors I don't want to be around, that's potentially me bleeding on you. And I don't want to be like that anymore. I wasn't like that for too long either. I'm not like that every single live stream, but one time is more than enough. This is me holding myself accountable. This is me not allowing myself to manipulate myself into believing any type of behavior like that should be tolerated or should be acceptable because what? There's no justifiable reason. None. And the more I begin to realize the gravity of my effect, the more I will increase the standard with which I conduct myself. If that's the role I'm to play, I have to play it properly, responsibly. If you're giving me the type of power to help form the way you see yourself, that has to be handled properly, with a proper reverence, without allowing myself to believe I have the option to do that, tear you down in the middle of your process of building yourself up. That's not okay. That's not okay. Does that mean I'm wrong in the perceptions or the way I receive people's energies? No. No. I'm not going to say that I'm wrong to feel the way I do. I will say I can't allow my feeling to let me be justified in my toxic response. I'm not going to lie to myself. Yes, I can feel however I feel. I can be annoyed. But I can't act however I want. I can't be childish in that way. And it's my hope that if, you guys hearing this and holding myself accountable in this way helps you to find more courage to hold yourself even more accountable. Let's see. You ain't no for jokes. I don't want or need you to change. It helps me question myself. The change is not for you guys. The change is for me. It's for me to operate in a higher plane of compassion, patience, and existence, just a generalized existence. I deserve to make those changes for myself, because it hurts me when I realize like I've hurt someone else. So it's more of a selfish thing. It's really more of a selfish decision. I can't allow myself to be that way. It's detrimental to me and my perception of myself. It's very easy to backslide when you enter in that state of being, where it's like, hey, you know what? You don't like it, you can watch someone else. No, stop it. They chose to come here. Respect that, honor that, be worthy of that, right? And you guys really totally helped me to refine my perception of myself. And I was saying that a few weeks ago. It was this thing of like, I'm really just accepting, like, you have a right to choose to not be present, in accordance with how you receive me and my mood that day. And Maria was like, stop telling us to go away. And I was like, wait, what? I'm not telling you to go away. But then it's like, girl, you can't say something and then tell someone they're wrong in the way they're receiving it. And then it was like, oh no, that's not what I meant. Let me correct that. Instead of telling you received me wrong, let me receive what you are telling me is the way you received it. Let me value you in that way. And let me modify that behavior. Because if that's not what I meant, I don't say that's not what I meant. I look for a way that's more accurate and effective in communicating what I actually mean. And what do I actually mean? That you honor and bless me with your decision to share space with me. And if that decision shifts someday, either because you're no longer learning with me, or your path takes you somewhere else, or I've upset you, I respect that decision too. You are welcome to stay as long as you choose. You are celebrated when you're here, and you're missed when you're gone, but I respect what you decide. And that would have been a much better way to communicate what I was actually trying to communicate. And this is just all about learning how to further refine the nuances of you, your process, how the world receives you. We can't always be like, no, you didn't understand. Girlfriend, you said it. What's there not to understand? You said it. You said it knowing everyone has the capacity to interpret in a different way. So instead of telling people they didn't understand what they actually heard come out of your mouth, communicate in a more effective, accurate manner what it is you're actually attempting to communicate. That's a beautiful thing, to be able to exist in a space where instead of, because Maria totally could have been like, oh, F this. I'm tired of this girl. Oh, F this. I'm tired of her trauma shit. She straight up was like, stop telling us to go away. I was like, oh, shoot. Oh my God, that might be how some people are receiving it. And no, that's not hurtful to have her be a reflection of that authentic truth, be authentic in her communication. That's a gift. That's a show of love, where it's like, hey, this is how I'm receiving it. I don't know how you're saying it, but this is how I'm receiving it. I don't want to go away. And it's like, no, don't go away. That's not what I'm saying. But that's what it's coming out as. Okay, I get it. Let me shift myself. Let me learn how to communicate better. It's just this thing of like holding myself accountable, not blame, not shaming, but just holding myself accountable. Allowing myself to shift within those spaces that you guys hold for me. Those are spaces you hold for me. That's a show of love. That's additional potential that I can tap into. I just have to lose my fear of hugging you, right? Because what are you doing? You're like, let me hug you. I accept you as you are, all your trauma responses. Let me hug you. And that space between your invitation for a hug, a connection, and where I stand, not knowing if I should hug, that's a space with a potential for me to expand myself. That's a very, very sacred thing to be able to do for people. Card number 17, what is already with you? All of this growth and potential is already with you. You just have to be willing to allow your life and your interactions with others to tap into that potentiality. Okay? Like, I could have reacted so many different ways to what Maria said. There was nothing malicious about what she said. It was full of love. But had I allowed myself to react in a typical trauma response, like, well, it's fine then. I'll just be quiet. It's like, no, that's not what's in your best interest for growth. Process it, take it in. She's not accusing you. She's sharing with you her perception. And that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing, to go from thinking people are accusing you of something to understanding they're sharing their perception. And in that sharing of perception, you're being gifted an opportunity to see yourself from a different perspective. And when you can see yourself from a different perspective, you can then begin to understand the other parts of you that maybe need slight adjustments, not for you to become someone else, but for you to better function as yourself. Less trauma, more healing. Okay? Yeah, see, and I got it too. Like Maria says, I understood what you said then, just wanted to stop that feeling in you that you are doing something that would drive us away. So stop telling us that. I totally got it. It was just like calling me out in a loving way, but just authentic as well. Where it's like, girl, it's a trauma response, this thing of constantly like, well, people are going to leave no matter what. So let me just tell you it's okay for you to leave, so that when you do leave, it hurts me less. You know what I mean? And that was the whole mental process that it initiated for me. Like, oh my God, I'm still doing my trauma responses. You know, it's not a bad thing. It's a growing thing. My first video I viewed of you was intimidating. It took me a while to grasp what I was not seeing in me. Now I'm back daily and catching up on your videos. That's beautiful. Now I connect. And I get it, because there's a lot of intensity, no matter how it's delivered. There's a lot of intensity in the messages that come through during my readings. And with that, oftentimes when people find me, You find me because your soul has put me on your path, right? And usually that's at a time where you're just starting to realize you're ready for growth, for true healing. And that's a very unstable period. You don't know who you're becoming. You feel very lost. You're very impressionable. You're very fragile. That's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign that you've been learning so much about yourself and you're ready to take that learning to another level. And with that, most people, they'll come for the first time, maybe second time, third time, and they'll become overwhelmed. You know what I mean? They'll become overwhelmed. And so they'll need time to kind of back away and reassess, like, why do I feel this way? This girl makes me angry. Like, but she didn't say anything. She didn't do anything. Why am I angry? And it's just this thing of like, are you angry or are you being triggered to look at things within yourself? And that's a hard thing to do. It's literally a hard thing to do, especially if you've never done it for yourself before. Be patient with yourself, you know? Take time to yourself. Love on yourself during this period because you're being broken open by your soul. I'm being used as a hammer, but I'm being used as a hammer and that's it. I'm not actually intending to break you. So it's just, one of those things that we have to be aware. We just have to be aware. We have to. Card number 36, listening for truth. Not everything I say in a live stream is your truth, but you can feel when what you're hearing is for you. You can feel it. Card number 41, bring it into form. Allowing yourself to walk towards whatever magical event, connection, circumstance, whatever it is. Allow yourself to bring that into form by walking towards it. Card number 18, spirals of manifestation. Allowing yourself to understand that you are manifesting the very thing that you're walking towards. You're in control. You're in control. Don't be afraid. Show up anyways, even if you are. Walk anyways, even if you are. Okay? Don't allow your fear to be the thing that cripples you. You were never designed to live with absolutely no fear. People who are fearless, they've learned to interpret their fear as an adrenaline rush. How do you feel when you're afraid? You get that adrenaline rush. It's just your perception of it is negative. When people are preparing to base jump, they get that adrenaline rush and like, fuck yes. They've learned to appreciate that. Instead of allowing it to make them feel as though they're dying, it makes them feel they're alive. It's evidence that they're still alive. And that should tell you. Are you living in a constant state of waiting to die? Therefore, slowly dying just a little bit more every single day? Or are you ready to shift your existence into living every day, every moment, even with that feeling present? We're going to harness that. We're going to use it, not to survive, but to laugh and smile as we're thriving. I don't know. Maybe I'm an adrenaline junkie. Who knows? Who knows? But I do remember that one time I randomly decided to jump out of an airplane. And I'm afraid of heights. I jumped out of an airplane. And I wasn't afraid. I was excited. But what was the difference between fear and excitement? My perception of it. That was it. My perception of what I was feeling. Because I remember when this mofo that I was attached to swung one leg out of this tiny ass plane and I was strapped between his legs. Yeah. So I had no choice but to swing my legs over so he could swing his other leg over. And the first time I looked down, I was like, and then I was like, oh shit, yeah, baby. Yeah. And it became this fear to this thing of, oh shit, it's going down. It's going down tonight. Tonight it goes down. That was the only difference. That was the only difference. It really was. Just, yeah, shifting it. Card number 22, she feels, she knows. You already know what's coming. It's going to be something that challenges you beyond what you thought you could handle. It's going to challenge you. It's going to break the parts of you that you thought were your most powerful parts. Those are just the parts that have been the most heavily fortified to resist you in your process. Okay? How old is your kid, Maria? Card number 19, dream a beautiful dream. The difference between a dream and a nightmare is your perception of it. Dreams and nightmares are the same thing. The same thing. A nightmare is a negative dream. Did you know you can control your dreams? There's this portion of your brain that you tap into and you can control the dream. It becomes a lucid dream. I've taught young children how to control their dreams. Mm-hmm. I remember being a young child. I want to say I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old. I want to say that's about how old I was. I was sleeping in my parents' bed, and something was chasing me in my dream. And I was running so fast. I was running. I didn't realize I was running in my sleep. I was laying on my side, running in my sleep. My legs going like this in bed. And I guess I was like repeatedly kicking my father, who then decided to put his leg to pin my legs down. And I remember I was in the house where I grew up and something was chasing me. It was a humanoid. It was robotic. It was humanoid. Very similar to Terminator 2. That liquid alloy. That type of humanoid robotic. It was chasing me. And I was going to run up the stairs to try and get away. I got one leg and I was able to skip like 2 steps. So one leg got onto the 3rd step, but I couldn't move my leg that was still on the floor. And I kept trying, and then here's this thing and it's reaching for me. I'm like, wait, that's not fair. Because I was so afraid. And as he was going to reach me, I was like, stop, wait, that's not fair. I can't move my leg. So then he was kind of like, do you want me to go back more? And I was like, rewind the tape. And you got to go all the way back to the garage because it's not fair. I got to figure out what's wrong with my leg first. And I kept trying and I kept trying. I kept pulling and I kept pulling. And then he was back and he was going to, and I'm like, no, that's not fair. You got to go back again. Something's wrong with my leg. It won't work. And then I wasn't scared anymore. I was just irritated. Like, why the F does my leg not work? And so I brought my foot that was on the 3rd step back down, and I was just standing like, why is this not working? What is going on? And I sat on the step, the 1st step. This humanoid robotic thing that was going to kill me is now sitting beside me like, do you need me to help you? I still remember that dream. I still remember that dream. And I was like, maybe I need to wake up. He's like, what do you need help waking up? No, I can wake myself up. And I woke myself up, and that's when I realized my dad's leg was on me. It pinned my leg down. I was like, oh my God, I could have effing died. It could have killed me. But could it have? You can control your dreams. You just forgot. You can control your dreams. You can control your environment. These are the basics. These are the basics that are included in your birthright package. Weather bending, elemental control. That's your birthright. Just because you don't remember how to do it doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you can't. When I try and do certain types of abilities, right before it's going to happen and I can feel it, I'm just like, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. Don't freak me out. Don't do that. And there's times where these very same abilities that are dormant, it's a total fucking lie, I tell myself, these dormant abilities, when I need to do it and there's like no other options, I have to do it and I have to do it quickly because it's like an emergent type situation. Yeah, no, I do it easily, accurately, and it's done. Minimal effort. Because I don't have the time or the luxury to convince myself all of these different distorted beliefs as to, I can't do it. I might hurt someone when I do it. Oh, but what if this? I can't control. No, knock it off. Get it done. There's a need. And then you can go back to your insecurity when it's finished, which is what I tend to do. It will be done. It will be successfully completed. And then when it's done, then I give myself the time to be like, no, that was totally just a coincidence. I didn't actually do that, did I? No, there's no way. There's no way I actually did that. It's just a coincidence. I'm just totally making this up. And yeah, no, that's fine. Go back to your process. But what needs to be done, and you need to do it. What needs to be done, and you need to do it. Your insecurities will still be there when you're done, when you're finished doing what needs to be done for you. The healing and all of that, absolutely. Get all that done and then go back to your insecurities, visit there for a little bit. Excuse me, then find a higher level of you and your life to further develop. Card number 14, going beyond normal. Go beyond the limitations that you believe in. I promise you, you can do it. Card number 27, receiving. Allowing yourself to receive the truth of who and what you actually are. Allow yourself to receive the who and what of who you actually are. You don't need to fully understand to be able to accept yourself. You just need to be open to experiencing who and what you actually are. Card number 13. Aries, I guess I'm just a natural warrior. It's okay for you to be a natural warrior. It's okay for you to be very, very passionate in what you do. It's okay for you to have no fear. It's okay for you to be able to tap into your aggressive energy in order to get things done. I'm not saying it's always okay to be aggressive towards other people. Okay. I'm saying if your energy is aggressive, that's a very powerful type of energy to work through whatever it is you need to work through. So the Aries card says it's okay to push now, just don't push too hard. The energy of this card is that of a dynamic trailblazer. This is the fire of creation. Since they are impatient, Aries, they are also blunt and to the point, which sometimes it's not about impatience. Sometimes it's about efficiency. It's about being efficient. The world programs us to dance around the topics that need to be discussed. If that's the case, we want to be efficient sometimes. Just gauge when that's appropriate. Hello, New Zealand. Aries people or Aries energy is highly ambitious and wants to accomplish things quickly and in a no nonsense way. Competition is what it's all about. So we need to exit out of that compete, compare. Okay, that's not healthy for you. Um, Allow yourself to enter into this state of co creation. I would say that the competition aspect of it, any type of impatience aspects, are toxic. Okay, varying degrees of toxicity. The more impatient, the more competitive, the higher degree of toxicity. Do you need to be toxic um, in order for you to get ahead in life? Get ahead? What does that even mean? I don't need to get ahead of anything. I'm exactly where I need to be and I need to excel. I need to give myself permission to excel exactly where I am. Get ahead? What does that even mean? Have we stopped and questioned that? You must not question. Have we literally a second after I said that? Have we stopped to question that? Another pop up. You must not question. Yeah, you got to question though. You got to question the right things, the things that teach you to make other people your enemy, make other people the benchmark with which you're going to operate. If they have a different purpose in life, how are you going to use them as the benchmark? Ooh, this is a good one. Christina Meyer says, observe the difference between your ego and intuition. This will help you understand where your thoughts are stemming from, and it will allow you to understand yourself and others from a higher perspective. Ooh, that's beautiful. If you guys are wondering why I'm reading people's comments, that comes from a post that I posted on Facebook. And the post says, let me find it. It's on my Facebook Emmie Evolving page. Hold the phone. Let me see. Let me find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Let's start a thread of just random advice. No specific topic, just great advice. That's what the post is. And so it's inviting people to kind of comment whatever advice has been like really beneficial and empowering for them in their lifetime, and to just share it and to set this intention that it will gift other people whatever it is they need in that moment without really intending to be the giver or the gifter, kind of just this sharing. It's a very beautiful concept. So, okay. Aries is a warrior sign, which means being always on the defensive, ready for action. If you are able to plan a powerful offensive, you don't have to be as defensive. An offensive is more of a game plan to achieve specific goals or positioning within yourself and your life that creates a greater flow, one that's full of compassion, one that's full of self-love, all of that. Reactions are trauma responses. So, how do we respond from the place that is not trauma? You have to pause, you have to assess, what are you attempting to communicate? What objective are you trying to reach? What is it? Okay, so now you're putting thought into it. Now you're really considering, do I need to defend myself here? Like, do I need to explain my side? Because really, an explanation for someone else should be this intention of gaining better clarity so that you can communicate with each other. But if you've identified that person is not seeking clarity about you, they're just simply accusing you. They've committed to this accusation. They're not interested in understanding. They know everything. Then what's the point? What's the point of explaining anything outside of trying to prove that you're, that they're wrong and you're right? And then that's ego-based. That's a fear-based thing. So now I'm understanding. I don't need to respond. I don't need to explain. They're not interested in any explanations. So let's see. When this card comes up, expect things to move fast, for there's no time to take it step by step. It will all be a mad jump. It may be a time of testing your will. So Como says, you've been willing this into being for a very long time. It ties into these cards right here. Done. You've been willing this into being, the spirals of manifestation, bringing it into form. Okay. You've been willing this into a state of being for a very long time. So now you need to put the action behind the energetic manifestation. For some, and she says, y'all know who you are. I use the term y'all. I said y'all, and she goes, you all know who you are. Y'all know who you are. It's not as much of a risk as you're making it out to be. Everything has been properly positioned, from the thoughts to the emotions to the opportunities. Everything has been properly positioned. You've done your part. Creation has responded. The pathways have been opened up for potentialities to flood through. All you have to do is put action behind it by turning the valve, opening the floodgates. I know that it's scary, but you're fearing the very thing you've willed into being. That's what she says. I know that it's scary, but you're afraid of the thing that you wanted to happen. Now it's happening. Don't waste it. It's happened before. You turned your back. You turned your back from the pathway, the opportunity, and repeated the same cycle. It's happening again now. Everything is ready. Everything is set. The potential is there. I hope that helps you guys. I hope that helps you to come to better terms with how powerful you are and how much, for whoever this applies to, of course, and how much you've wanted this to the point that you made it a possibility. You made it a potential option, a viable option. That's powerful. Now, I'm not going to go so far as what Como said. I feel strongly that if you are able to get it this far and you kind of hesitate, I feel like you can do it again. I feel like you can get it this far again, and maybe then you'll be ready. She goes, she's like, why would you say that? Because everyone needs to have their free will. People can't select options out of fear of like, oh, this is my last chance. It's not your last chance. When it's really for you, it will wait. That opportunity will wait. When it's really for you, you have to rest safely and soundly in this knowing. When I'm ready, that's when it will be. whether it's job, whether it's travel, whether it's owning a house, animal, whatever it is, if it's really for you, it's something that will actually happen. And when you're ready, even you won't be able to stop it. It's something that will just continue to snowball. And, I'm sure you can handle a snowball. Can you handle an avalanche? Probably not. For me personally, I was afraid of being publicly visible. I was afraid of even a small number of people being able to witness me in my most authentic, most vulnerable states. I was afraid of so much. I was afraid of my differences being recognized. I was afraid that there are other people out there like me who'll be able to point out and then accuse me of being evil, and all of these different fears. And I was able to hold off quite a bit. And then when I was truly ready inside, even though mentally, emotionally, I thought I wasn't, then it became this thing of, you're not stopping it. People will see you and they're going to see you. And there's no expectation outside of you just showing up and being yourself. So quit messing with your own thoughts and your own feelings. All you got to do is show up. All you got to do is be you. You already do that. You already do that. There are people who exist who see the truth of who you are in this moment, not just the potential of you, but who you are right now. And not only is it okay, not only are you enough, they're already impressed. They're impressed. They're impressed. Like, really wrap your mind around that. Fill that thought into your cup and take some sips out of it. For me personally, I feel like I have so much growth left to do, so much further developing of my perception, the way I function within society, all of these different things that really, at the end of the day, if I allow myself to be honest enough, these are the different excuses and justifications that I use to convince myself I'm still not yet enough, that I'm not worthy to be witnessed yet because I'm not yet enough. And yet here I am. Here I've been. Allowing you to simply witness, giving you the ultimate control of how much you will allow yourself to witness, what you will do with what you witness, loving you in a way that sets you free to decide these things for yourself. I show up with makeup, I show up without, I show up changed out of pajamas, I show up in pajamas. I show up feeling powerful, I show up crying like a mofo. All of those are valid. All of those are valid. And why do I do that? Because I feel an obligation to you, who holds so much sacred space for me, to show up no matter what phase I'm in. Because if I only ever show up when I'm on my A game, what does that tell you? That you're not enough unless you are too. What's most important to me is not to be authentic. It's not that. What's most important to me in this work that I do publicly is to be worthy of being your reflection. I'm nothing but your reflection. That's it. And if I can't ever let you see myself falling apart, and that's not something that is planned, I go into these live streams with this thought of, I'm not going to cry today. Fuck that shit. I'm not crying today. We already cried yesterday. Fuck that shit. We're going to be strong today. And then there's times where I don't cry. And then there's times where the processing of my life and the memories that come up during conversations that we have, um, it overflows. It overflows. And I try and like stop it. I try and keep it from overflowing because it's like, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. I don't like, this is private. Like, and then it becomes this thing of like, then why am I here? And why am I here? What am I doing? What am I doing? Trying to convince myself to be fake and pretend that I'm not overcome and overwhelmed by the life that I've lived, sometimes in a positive way, sometimes in a negative way, sometimes in a sense of loss so profound that I break all over again. I'm trying to teach myself. I'm trying to teach myself, empower myself, and love myself enough to see how beautiful it is whenever I become overwhelmed by thoughts of my mother. It's in those instances that I feel new fractures occurring. Fractures in these walls I've erected ever since I was a child. And it's not that I'm celebrating my internal destruction. It's that I'm allowing myself to see the need to finally liberate that inner child, that maiden in silent distress, that warrior queen who put herself behind walls. Out of fear that her existence would destroy the world. It's okay to ebb and flow between the softness, the grace, and the hardness. It's okay to be all of those things. It's okay to use your grace to bridge the gap between the soft and the hard parts of you. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to have these misaligned perceptions and accusations of self that maybe are rooted in truth, or maybe they're not. Maybe these are the things we tell ourselves. So we'll continue to be afraid to really truly show up in life. A warrior is not about senseless violence, senseless destruction. True warriors live by a code called Bushido. That's the beautiful thing, Catherine. She says, I still hug the photo of me as a child, telling her, I love you, I got you. I was a little badass as a kid. Didn't need nobody. Even as a toddler, I was hyper independent. I was hyper aware of ethics, morals. literally as a toddler. I'll show you guys. Just forever watching you. Staring at you without blinking. Looking at the truth of who you actually are. I distinctly remember doing that. I distinctly remember as a child, I would not blink very much and it would make people feel very uncomfortable because I would stare at you and analyze you and not say a single word. And even if you spoke to me, I wouldn't say anything and I would just watch you. I would just watch you. Like I see what you're hiding. I see who you are. Me as a child didn't like hugs. Me as a child, I think I had too many of my past life memories still left intact, and I never quite functioned as a child. It's crazy to hear, right? I didn't enter into a childhood until in my mid-30s. Yeah. I literally have never been like a child. I just never have. I've never seen the world like a child. I see it more with childlike awe and wonder. The older I get, I guess it's taken a very long time to forget some of those really, really intense previous lives that I've lived. And maybe that's the gift of knowing the intensity as a child. So as an adult, I can consciously choose to live in a deeper sense of softness and submission. Maybe that's why. I'm distinctly and painfully aware I've been involved in quite a few wars throughout the history of humanity. Pretty much every major war. I've been there. I lived it. Every time an empire falls, I'm alive. And I die with it. So maybe this life is the gift where I get to pick something different. Where my chosen weapons are not made of steel. They're not incendiaries. They don't go kaboom. My chosen weapons are emotion and intellect. Being able to harness the spoken and written word in such a way that cuts through all your armor and leaves you naked in your truth. There's options you can choose. This is quite possibly the most peaceful life I've ever lived. And it's full of trauma. Does that diminish me or my worth? Or does that increase it? The fact that I've lived so many different things just in this lifetime, things that normally would turn people cold and hard, careless. And yet I'm none of those things because I choose not to be. When someone betrays me, it's not because people are horrible. It's because that person chose to be that way towards me. It's because I allowed some type of dynamic that encouraged and empowered their belief that that's okay. And you know what? That's you. That's not me. I just need to remember what I did to make you think that distorted thought and choose not to do it again with other people. And that's okay too. Y'all think I'm intimidating now? I used to impale people and line the streets with their bodies. These weren't even people who did anything. They just happened to be people who picked the wrong team. And that's the thing. People don't know the gravity of what your soul has experienced. And if they don't know, they cannot juxtapose the polarities that you lived. That wasn't the only life that people were impaled. There were a couple. There were a few. There were a few. And I used to be ashamed of these things and so highly triggered by it. Why? That's not me in this life. It's not me in this life. It's just not me in this life. But that does tell me there's nothing in this life that I need to fear because I've already been through so much. And whatever I have to tap into, that's what I will tap into. And it will be appropriate for whatever circumstances in front of me. It will be appropriate. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with being a living, breathing human being, having a human experience while still so cognitively, painfully aware of all the other human and non-human experiences I've had before this one. And knowing I got through those things. I got through those things. And I chose to come back. Is it because I'm a glutton for punishment? No, it's because I still had a lot to learn. I needed to know the other side of the spectrum rather than continuing this developing skill of destruction. Let's try the other end, creation, sustenance, nurturing. Let's try that end of the spectrum. It's just a spectrum. You can exist on a sliding scale. You don't have to be fixed to one point on that spectrum. You can learn all your parts, all the different positions that you can exist upon. Okay. Card number 18. Virgo, I analyze. Do not anticipate trouble or worry about what may never happen. Keep in the sunlight. Worry and organization are the key traits of the sign Virgo in this card. Virgo also, I believe it's in my South Node or something like that. It's about your daily routine, the body, healing, worry, details, usefulness. It's about all of that. It's about analyzing, summing up a situation, evaluation, becoming organized, cleansing your space, dealing with the health issues that have really, really affected you. And have you ever thought that maybe a lot of the health issues that you experience are rooted in the storing of emotional blockages? A lot of what we experience is the storing of traumas. There's been studies and speculation that lupus, because it primarily affects women, stems from experiences with domestic violence, either the witnessing of it, being in the environment of it, or having it done unto you. Lupus. Mm-hmm. Quite a few other things too. Did you know there's a growing body of evidence that shows issues with the gallbladder have to do with the emotion of resentment? How many people have their gallbladder removed and they still have pains and issues like it's still there? Because although you remove the physical indication of that resentfulness, you never actually address the emotion, which is the root causation of that. Did you know when you have low back problems, it typically stems from a disconnect, an imbalance between your earthly life and your etheric one, where you are somehow rejecting the truth of your divinity and purpose? That affects the back. Knee problems, you've rejected yourself. You want to allow yourself to move forward from that place of self-rejection. I dislocated my knee. Well, no, not dislocated. Yesterday, I was sitting waiting for my session to begin, and I decided to straighten my leg out of a crisscross applesauce. And as soon as my leg began to straighten, I don't know what happened. I had a subluxation. It sounded like I broke a bone. It felt like I ripped tendons. It's amazing. And then I was just holding my knee like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, shit. Did it pop back into place? Oh, my God. And I was waiting for it to hurt. And initially it did. I don't know if I sedated the area, but I was just like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, because these past few months, maybe past 2 or 3 months, I've been processing a lot of trauma and a lot of emotional blockages, a lot of things. And I very much felt like this is just bullshit. I just got to work, and it's bullshit. Like, what the actual fuck? Let me just fucking work. Why do you have to bother me with this shit? So inefficient, like just really toxic ass self-talk. And I realize now, because I was having a toxic self-talk moment while I was working out. I have Ehlers-Danlos, and it causes instability within the joints. And I was working on my pelvic girdle, on strengthening my posterior chain and my pelvic girdle so I could have more stability. And I usually need to work on that if I'm going to go through an ascension cycle. I need to bulk up my butt, not for the aesthetics, but because that's the first fucking muscle my body eats when I go through an ascension cycle. So I was working on bulking it up, and I was doing cable kickbacks, and I was like, okay, that doesn't feel right. So I strapped on 5-pound ankle weights, and I was doing it, and it was fine. I was tracking properly. And then I was like, no, bitch. We need more muscle. Because at one point before I stopped working out, I was doing cable kickbacks at over 200 pounds. I'm like, 5 pounds ain't shit. And so I decided, brilliance, to strap on a 10-pound ankle weight. like in the 80s, those ankle weights like that. But it's 10 pounds instead of 5. As soon as I lifted my leg to do a kickback, my knee separated. My ligaments weren't strong enough. I've had a flare in my condition for the past year. My ligaments weren't strong enough, and so my knee separated. And as soon as I put my leg down, my knee went back together, but it was in the wrong position. So for the past 2 or 3 months, I've been walking around with a partially dislocated knee. How the fuck was I to know? I mean, it hurt, but I mean, it's like it still worked. And so yesterday, I think because my life is coming back into alignment and I'm beginning to really allow myself to process a lot of the things that need to process, and not being so angry in the processing procedure of it. It was just one of those things where as I exhaled, I think I released some sort of tension and allowed my knee to slip back into place. I'm still fucked up. Don't get me wrong. My knee's fucked, but at least now it's in proper place. It's in proper place. And I have to do my part to make sure it stays in alignment. How did I get myself out of alignment? Because my expectation of me and my capabilities were not aligned with the current state my body is in. I had stopped taking certain supplements. So yeah, my body is going to take from my bones and my ligaments. So now I'm taking the proper supplements again, giving my body what it needs to properly function and have proper form. And I have to just love myself enough to take it slow and be compassionate and not try and rush into any other program. Like yesterday, the plan was after that session, I was going to go work out, like go hard. And then after that fucking shit happened to my knee, I'm like, yeah, we're not working out today. Not even with a knee brace. Fuck that. I'm good. I'm good. I'm getting older and these injuries are taking much longer to heal from. And I cannot keep pushing through mentally at the detriment of my physical body. I have to stop doing that. I have to find that beautiful middle point between my body strength and my mental strength. Because my mind is powerful as fuck. I can push through anything. I could totally compartmentalize like a motherfucker. I probably would make a very good agent of some kind. My degree of compartmentalization is fucking professional. Is that what I need in this life, though? No. I'm not on the battlefield anymore. I remember lifetimes where I had major muscle groups severed and I kept fighting. But I was on a battlefield then. Now it's an internal battle. It's not a physical battle, and I can't keep doing that. I can keep doing that and hurt myself even more. Completely disregard it, and a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, sit there regretting the fact that I didn't, during this period, make that choice to love myself enough to take care of myself, not push myself. What am I trying to prove? Because at that point, when you're pushing yourself, you're trying to prove something. What are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? I mean, like if I really allow myself to sit here and analyze it, it's this thing of like, well, I've really gotten to the point where other people's opinions of me truly don't matter. So then what am I trying to prove? Who am I trying to prove it to? Oh, I'm afraid of life. I'm trying to prove to myself that if life is a physicality, if this individuated experience is connected to the physicality of this particular body, this bio spiritual mechanical vehicle that houses my consciousness, well, then I need to prove to myself that I can actually push this vehicle to its limits and beyond. Because if I can do that, then I can reassure myself and maybe possibly quiet down that insecurity a little bit about my ability to survive this experience. But here's the thing, am I here to just survive? Or am I here to thrive? Am I here to trailblaze through that like wilderness, that jungle that stands between me here right now and that place of thriving called home? And then comes this question, am I even lost? What am I rushing towards? I go home no matter what. No matter how far I'm taken, I eventually go home. Home to my family, home to myself, home to my soul, my spirit, my energy, my essence that's formless. So many different types of home. What home am I even talking about? We usually don't even know. I think part of our problem is not knowing what it is we need to know so that we understand what it is we're working on. We manipulate ourselves into this state of thinking that we know, thinking that we've this, thinking that we've that. Just because you think it doesn't mean you are it. Yeah. And just because you don't think it doesn't mean you aren't. So get to the answers you're looking for. Really allow yourself to assess. Really allow yourself to be present. I got to get going, guys. If y'all could please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. And for those who at some point, either previously or still now, have felt some sort of intimidation because of me, I don't think you're intimidated by me. Part of me sees that you're intimidated by the potential I'm reflecting back to you. I'm your potential realized existing outside of you. Not because I'm more loved by creation than you are, but because someone had to volunteer to be witness so that you could understand how you're going to build yourself, what you're building, and why it's so important for you to keep building. I'm just an example is all it is. Not an end goal. Just an example. So, guys, please give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you again. I don't know if I'm going to go live later today for expedites. I know that 1212 portal is coming up. I think it might be a better use of all of our time to go ahead and utilize the 1212 portal for energy work and readings. I think it would be a more responsible use of my time as an example and as a human being to rehab my body, rather than just keep pushing. So there's a potentiality next time I do energy work, it's going to be for that portal. So I'll work on getting that link up so that you guys can have different options to select during that portal fire ceremony. This one is a very, very potent one. This is the one that really sets the stage for the way this next Gregorian calendar is going to play out for you. The 1212 portal is the energies that are used for the first steps of your journey. The first steps of your journey. We got to first make sure that we're able to even stand, right? We're able to even take that moment to breathe and ensure all our parts are working as they were designed to. That includes your ability to see yourself clearly with no distortions. So I'll have a few things ready for you guys in the next day or so. And I hope you can go ahead and make plans to join me during that 1212 portal. It's going to be held on the 12th because that's when the portal is. But if you guys are not aware, that portal energy has been pulsating already. It's been. So, and it's going to continue and amplify until that 1221 portal, which is basically the twin ray portal. That's a point of merger. It's the 33. So it's a lot of energy this week, okay? All right, guys. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope today's chat really helps to empower and inspire you to reach higher levels of self-love, self-acceptance, and just self. All right. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye, everyone.